The Persian Gulf, one of the most heavily guarded waterways on Earth. Every day, hundreds of oil tankers and cargo ships pass through it, carrying energy that powers the global economy. But suddenly, something strange started happening. Ships began losing their navigation. Radars went dark. Captains reported their vessels drifting in the wrong direction. Within hours, more than 1,600 ships were affected in one of the busiest shipping routes on the planet. There were no explosions, no visible missiles, no enemy fleets. Yet the chaos was real. Experts believe this may be a new kind of weapon, one that can paralyze entire fleets without firing a single bullet. And at the center of it all is Iran. So what exactly happened in the Persian Gulf? And how did one invisible weapon suddenly affect over 1,000 ships at once? For a moment, the Persian Gulf went strangely silent. Cargo ships, massive oil tankers, and military vessels were all moving through one of the busiest waterways on Earth when something unexpected began to happen. Navigation systems started failing. Captains watched their digital maps shift wildly. Some ships suddenly appeared miles away from where they actually were. Within hours, reports suggested that more than 4,600 vessels across the region were experiencing the same disturbing problem. There were no explosions, no missiles, no visible attack. Yet something powerful was interfering with the ships guiding the global oil trade. Security analysts quickly pointed to a chilling possibility. A new type of electronic weapon capable of disrupting entire fleets without firing a single shot. And the country many experts believe may be behind it is Iran. So what exactly happened in the Persian Gulf? And how could one invisible weapon affect 1,650 ships at once? The Persian Gulf is not just another body of water. It is one of the most strategically important shipping routes on Earth. Every single day, hundreds of massive oil tankers and cargo vessels move through its narrow corridors, carrying energy and goods that power economies across Asia, Europe, and beyond. But at the center of this global highway lies one of the world's most sensitive choke points, the Strait of Hormuz. Nearly a fifth of the world's oil supply passes through this narrow passage. And on its northern coast sits Iran, a nation that has spent decades building powerful military tools designed to control or disrupt traffic in this very region. Now, with reports of navigation systems suddenly failing across hundreds of ships, experts are asking a serious question. Was this just a technical glitch? Or a demonstration of a new invisible weapon capable of shaking the global shipping industry? To understand why this incident shocked experts, you first have to understand just how critical the Persian Gulf is to the global economy. This narrow stretch of water connects some of the world's largest oil producers, including Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates, to the rest of the planet. Every single day, thousands of ships move through this region, but almost all of them must pass through one extremely narrow gateway, the Strait of Hormuz. At its tightest point, this passage is only about 21 miles wide. Yet through that small corridor flows nearly 20% of the world's oil supply. If anything disrupts traffic here, even briefly, the effects can ripple through global markets within hours. Oil prices spike. Shipping companies panic. Governments begin monitoring the region closely. That's why when navigation systems across hundreds of vessels suddenly began failing, analysts didn't see it as a simple technical glitch. They saw it as a warning that the world's most important energy route might be vulnerable to a completely new type of warfare. Modern ships rely heavily on satellites. Every large cargo vessel or oil tanker moving through the Persian Gulf depends on GPS signals to know its exact position, avoid collisions, and navigate safely through narrow waterways. But what happens if those signals suddenly become unreliable? This is where a different kind of weapon enters the picture: electronic warfare. Instead of missiles or naval battles, electronic warfare targets the technology ships depend on. Powerful transmitters on land, ships, or even drones can overwhelm satellite signals, confusing navigation systems and causing ships to believe they are somewhere they are not. Experts believe Iran has spent years developing these kinds of capabilities. Iran's military, including the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, has invested heavily in electronic jamming systems designed to disrupt GPS, radar, and communications across wide areas. The strategy is simple but effective. If navigation systems are jammed or manipulated, ships may slow down, change course, or even stop moving entirely. In a crowded waterway like the Strait of Hormuz, even a small disruption can quickly create massive confusion. And according to several maritime monitoring groups, something very similar may have happened when reports surfaced that more than 1,600 ships suddenly experienced navigation problems at the same time. It began with small, confusing reports from ship captains. A tanker moving through the Persian Gulf suddenly appeared on its navigation screen miles away from its real location. Another cargo vessel saw its GPS signal disappear completely. Within minutes, multiple crews began reporting the same strange malfunction. At first, many believed it was just a temporary technical glitch, but the situation escalated quickly. Maritime tracking platforms like Windward and Lloyd AS List Intelligence began detecting abnormal navigation signals across a huge area of the Gulf. Ships were appearing in impossible locations on digital maps. Some vessels looked like they had suddenly jumped miles inland, while others seemed to drift across the sea without moving at all. Within hours, analysts estimated that over 1,150 ships had been affected by the same navigation disruption. For a region that handles some of the world's most valuable cargo, the implications were enormous. Oil tankers slowed down, cargo ships began double-checking their positions manually, and maritime authorities started asking an urgent question. Was this simply a widespread technical failure, or the first real demonstration of a powerful electronic warfare attack at sea? As navigation signals continued to behave strangely, the tension inside ship bridges across the region started rising fast. The Strait of Hormuz is one of the most crowded and sensitive waterways in the world. Every day, huge oil tankers, container ships, and military vessels pass through a narrow shipping lane that leaves very little room for error. When GPS signals become unreliable in a place like this, the danger multiplies instantly. Captains began switching to backup navigation methods, relying on radar, physical charts, and manual calculations to confirm their real position. Some ships slowed their speed dramatically to avoid possible collisions, while others temporarily stopped moving until their systems stabilized. Shipping companies monitoring vessels inside the Persian Gulf started issuing urgent alerts to crews. If hundreds of ships suddenly lose accurate navigation in the same area, even a small mistake could lead to massive accidents, including tanker collisions, blocked shipping lanes, or environmental disasters. Meanwhile, military forces operating in the region were also watching closely, because whenever something disrupts navigation in the Strait of Hormuz, the world immediately starts asking one question. Is this a warning, or the beginning of something much bigger? The moment reports spread that hundreds of ships were experiencing navigation disruptions. Alarm bells started ringing across the global shipping industry. The Strait of Hormuz is not just another sea route. It is the main gateway for energy leaving the Persian Gulf. Nearly 1/5 of the world's oil moves through this narrow corridor every single day. That means any disruption here, even for a few hours, can ripple across the entire global economy. Oil traders immediately began monitoring the situation closely. Shipping companies warned their captains to remain cautious while passing through the region. Some vessels reduced speed, while others delayed entry into the area until navigation signals became more stable. Energy analysts also began asking a worrying question. What if this type of disruption becomes more frequent? If ships cannot fully trust their navigation systems, traffic through the strait could slow dramatically. Tankers carrying millions of barrels of oil might be forced to wait outside the corridor, creating bottlenecks in one of the world's most important supply routes. And when energy supply becomes uncertain, markets react quickly. Even the possibility of instability in this region can push global oil prices upward within hours, showing just how fragile the world's energy network can be. As reports of navigation disruptions spread across the Persian Gulf, military analysts and government officials around the world began paying close attention. Because when something threatens the stability of the Strait of Hormuz, it immediately becomes an international concern. Navies from several countries already operate in the region to protect global shipping routes. The United States Navy regularly patrols these waters, alongside forces from allies and regional partners. Their mission is simple: keep the sea lanes open and prevent any threat that could disrupt the flow of global trade. But electronic interference presents a unique challenge. Unlike missiles or naval attacks, electronic warfare leaves no visible evidence. There are no explosions, no damaged ships, and often no clear proof of who launched the disruption. That makes responding far more complicated. If one country believes another is deliberately interfering with navigation systems, tensions could rise quickly. Military patrols could increase, surveillance flights might intensify, and naval forces could move closer to sensitive areas. In a region already known for geopolitical tension, even a silent technological confrontation could push rival powers toward a dangerous new kind of conflict at sea. For decades, naval warfare was defined by visible power: warships, submarines, missiles, and aircraft carriers. But the incident in the Persian Gulf suggests that the future battlefield may look very different. Instead of destroying ships, modern conflicts may focus on disrupting the technology that controls them. Navigation systems, satellite signals, communications networks, and radar are now just as critical as weapons themselves. If those systems can be manipulated or disabled, even the most advanced ships can become vulnerable. Countries like Iran, as well as major military powers, have spent years investing in electronic warfare capabilities designed to challenge opponents without starting a traditional shooting war. And the crowded waters around the Strait of Hormuz provide the perfect testing ground for this new form of strategic pressure. What makes this type of conflict especially dangerous is that it can unfold quietly. No explosions, no dramatic headlines at first. Yet behind the scenes, invisible signals could be shaping the balance of power across some of the world's most important shipping routes. The strange navigation disruptions across the Persian Gulf may have lasted only a short time, but the message behind them could last much longer. In a world where global trade depends on satellites, digital maps, and invisible signals, the battlefield is no longer limited to missiles and warships. Now, entire fleets can be disrupted without a single shot being fired. And in places like the Strait of Hormuz, where billions of dollars of oil pass every day, even a small technological interference can send shockwaves through the global economy. Whether this event was a warning, a test, or something else entirely, one thing is becoming clear. The next major conflict at sea may not begin with explosions. It may begin with something far more unsettling: silence on the radar, confusion on the map, and ships suddenly unsure of where they really are.